Should I try it? Okay, here it goes. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Wasn't very good. It sort of sounded more like a child mixed with like a tourist, like an Asian tourist. I don't think it was Marilyn Monroe, but what that does mean is today we are looking at the new Marilyn collection done in collaboration with the Marilyn Monroe Estate and Lisa Eldridge. One of my favorite brands, Lisa Eldridge Makeup, has put out a limited edition collection to celebrate what would have been Marilyn Monroe's 100th birthday. So it is a big collection focused mainly on highlighters and lips. Although I do have a few new products from Lisa Eldridge that we're going to try today as well. So if that sounds good to you, then please consider liking, subscribing, following along, shopping my links, ignoring the clothes in the background because I have to go on another trip tomorrow for work. And let's go. So the Marilyn Monroe collection recently launched with Lisa Eldridge, but as all things with Lisa Eldridge, it does take a little while to get to the United States. Although I did see she has a pop-up store in Manhattan this summer. This did not come from that, and therefore it took about 2 weeks to get here. This is the collector's box. It comes with the entire set. Really beautiful, although it was a little banged up on the corner here, but that wasn't Lisa Eldridge's fault. The box on the outside was. All of the products in here are individually sold, but there is a pretty substantial discount if you buy the box set. So therefore, I went ahead and bought the box set. One of the items that's in here is the mascara, of which I already have and really love, the Kitten Lash. So I'm not going to demo that today. But once you open the box, you get this beautiful card that details all of the products. And then you will see you have the mascara, and then you have an assortment of highlighters and lip products. So we're going to go through these today. And I don't have anything really on my face as far as blush because we're also going to take a look at the newish Ventura Balm from Lisa Eldridge. This came out earlier this year. And I did not pick it up at the time because I knew the shipping would take a while. And so I wanted to wait until something all came. And so we're also going to take a look at these. They're not part of the collection, but they're new to me. And I need something on my face because right now all I have is just my foundation and a little bit of bronzer, the Marc Jacobs bronzer, which is really beautiful. So let's go. Before we go into the Marilyn Monroe, let's take a look at these Ventura Balms. I didn't initially get excited about these because I thought they looked kind of cheap in the packaging online. They're not. These are quite weighty, and as weighty as something in plastic, and it's a substantial product with a really beautiful cap. It comes in 5 colors, and I picked up 2. They can be used on the lips, but they can also, of course, be used on a cheek, and that's probably where I would use them, of course. So let's take a look at the 2 colors I picked up. This is Pomegranate Glacé, which is a beautiful kind of vibrant red. And the other color I picked up is Cinnamon Bun, which will be beautiful for the fall, but it's kind of a rusty red. They have more vibrant pinks. These are quite different than the like the Marc Jacobs ones that I recently reviewed. Those were a lot more firm in pan. These are a lot glossier. They kind of remind me a little bit of like the Chanel ones that are in the new duos that have come out. They have that kind of glossy texture, but they're really, really beautiful. And I was a little on the Marc Jacobs blushes. I kind of wanted them to be more like this, but that being said, I haven't put them on yet, so let's see what they look like on. I'm going to go ahead and put the Cinnamon Bun up a little bit higher and then put the Pomegranate a little lower. These are pretty slick, so I don't think they should drag much. No, they don't. The Marc Jacobs ones did drag a little bit, although I didn't notice any substantial lifting. So let's just blend this in. You can see that's kind of just a rusty brown color, the little rose. It could actually be really nice as a bronzer, I think, on some people. It'd be real subtle. And because these are more balmy, they are a little more subtle and buildable, but they blend like a dream. So that's the cinnamon bun color. The other color I purchased is the pomegranate glacé. I'm wondering how much product you get in these. You get a good substantial amount. Looks like 4.8 grams, so that's not bad. Let's go ahead and put these on the center. And I now know I can go pretty liberal with these because they are buildable. And there was no drag there. And I actually think this combination might work pretty well with this Marilyn collection. And by the way, I slightly powdered, and these are going on really beautifully. Now, did I maybe put a little too much? Maybe. But at least you can see what the colors look like. And it's a really beautiful finish. It doesn't look particularly glowy. It kind of dries down to a matte. So I think that's really nice. Okay, the Marilyn collection. The Marilyn collection, like I said, is limited edition. It comes in a box set that you can get all the products, or you can buy them individually, although some of them have already sold out. And it mainly focuses on mascara, highlight, and lips to try to, capture that Marilyn Monroe kind of focus. I've already had the Kitten Lash Mascara, so I'm not going to review it. I love it, both in the brown and the black. But we will take a look at these new products today, that some of them are brand new as part of this collection, and then some of them are just re-promoted within the set. These are, what does she call these? If it wasn't so small, I would read it for you. But what I can tell you is that I love the liquid version of these. I think it's one of the smoothest and just seamless on the skin. They're elevated glow. So the liquid elevator glows I really love. And these are apparently concentrated more like a gel. So it comes in two colors. The first one is Butterfly Light, which I believe these are both old Hollywood film techniques and lighting techniques that would have been used around the Marilyn Monroe time. Butterfly Light is probably the one that would be a best for a highlighter on me, but it's a really beautiful, and let me see, I hope it will capture this. These look so wet, and they have multicolored kind of particles in them, but I don't see visible sparkle. So this is the one called Butterfly Light, and let me see if I can show that. Just really beautiful, wet looking, but I do not see any visible sparkles. These are really, really well done, just like the liquid, which I think people sleep on those liquid ones. I think they're the best liquid highlighters on the market. Then there's High Key Light, which would be kind of a highlighter for those with darker skin tones, but it can be used on anyone. You just want to blend it in a little more. And this one is slightly darker and a little more goldy. Let me show you. These are so wet. I mean, they feel like a liquid. It's not like a cream to powder. These are wet. But you can see there, that is a beautiful nude color. So the one's more champagne, and the top one is a little more nude. But I think that they could both work. Obviously, this one would have to be blended in a little more on my skin tone. But I think what I'll do today is use the Butterfly Light as a highlighter, and then I'm going to try the High Key Light on the eyes, because I have read that once these set down, they do kind of set down more like a traditional gel to powder. So I don't know if they ever get fully dry down. It might be kind of a nightmare on the eyes, but we can see. Okay, so Butterfly Light. I'm going to go ahead and these are so interesting. I don't have another highlighter that feels like this. It almost feels like the consistency of like a really shiny wet lipstick. But I don't think you have to necessarily worry about them going blinding or bananas. I think it's going to be more of a subtle shine. It's supposed to give that kind of lit from within look. And it does. That is really pretty. I'm going to build it up even more just to show you. I, again, don't really see any particles. You can just see how glassy that is. Actually, I'm just going to apply this with my finger. Obviously, you're going to get a higher concentration if you do that. That is really beautiful. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it on the other side. And I actually kind of really like that finger application because it's more, you are going to get a more concentrated look. I hope I remember to check back in a few minutes and see if these ever kind of dry down. Look how beautiful that is. It's almost like Gucci used to have a gloss product, but it was more wet than this. They may still have that product. This is really an interesting texture. Really beautiful, though. You see in my little handy up-close mirror if I see any particles. I really don't. That is interesting. Beautiful. Okay, this could become a mess, but I'm going to try the darker one, High Key Light, on my eyes. It doesn't feel like on the back of my hand. They do settle down a little, but they don't ever fully set, so this could be a bit of a mess. It's pretty, though. I mean, if you put a bronzer down in the crease and put this on top, I think it would probably be a creasy mess, only because of the fact that it is such a gel. This isn't like cream to powder. This is a full-on gel. It's very pretty, though. Let me grab a little bit of that butterfly one just to place in the center. And up a little bit. It is sticky at first, but once you get it on, it's not. Like I can open my eyes and close them and not feel like they're sticking to each other. And then the little bits that I have put on my hands a minute ago, it has dried down some. It's not fully dried down. It's always going to be a little bit jelly because these are so emollient, but it does look pretty. I don't think that this is their intended purpose, but I think that as a highlighter, really gorgeous. Okay, lips. So this collection contains a variety of lip products. It contains 2 of the Lisa Eldridge lip glosses, which I really love, although I've only ever tried the glitter ones or the sparkly ones that came out at the holidays. So I'm excited to see how these look because these are both just solids. It also comes with a velveteen liquid lip color, which traditionally scare me a little bit because I always think they're going to dry me out, but we're going to see what they look like. And then there are 3 lip pencils that come with this, which is actually ironic because I've always wanted to try them and I've never tried them before. I think 2 of the colors in here are re-promotes and 1 is new. But these are the Enhance and Define lip pencils. And then there are 2 of the really gorgeous Lisa Eldridge Rouge Experience lipsticks, which if you've ever tried these before, they're one of my favorites. They come in the refillable packaging, which is really nice. So in the set, you get 1 regular and 1 refill in 2 different colors, but you can buy them individually as themselves or as refills and save a little money. I have a couple of these, but I have plenty more refills and I just interchange them and they're so easy to do that. So let's take a look at the collection first off. Let's start with the liners, because when I tried these, I was really impressed. Now this first one is called Ribbon, and it is a beautiful red. It's a cool red, kind of reminds me of Elson from Pat McGrath, but really beautiful, and they feel so nice on. The second one is also a re-promote, as is Ribbon, and that is Dragon, which is an orangey coral red. That's an interesting color. I don't think I have anything like that. And finally, I believe the new one, I could be wrong, is this one called Enchantment. And it is kind of a muted, kind of strawberry red. These are really, really beautiful. It appears they set down fairly quickly. So that's good to know. Let's take a look at the liquid shadow. This is in Strawberry Blonde, and this is the Velveteen liquid lip color. These normally scare me, but we will try. I haven't had a product like this in a long time because of that. Okay, this would go really well with probably that last liner, or even the first one if you wanted to cool it down a little bit. But look at that level of pigment. That's crazy. And look at the consistency from top to bottom. Once you fan it out a little bit though, it is more of a blue purple, so I think it would go really well with that first liner. What's that called? Ribbon. But you could also use it with that Enchantment one. And actually, it feels really nice on. It doesn't feel dry, but look at how much pigment it has. That is nuts. Then we have the 2 Rouge Experience lipsticks. We have this one. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it. Amagansett. Amaganset. Amagansett. And this is a beautiful blue-based red. So kind of sticking with that ribbon theme. But the other one I thought was really interesting. This one's called Norma Jean. And this is more of an orange-based red. So I think it would go really well with like the Dragon liner. You can see what they're doing here. You've got matching liners, lip. There's one kind of in the middle here, which is the new color. But these are just pretty much perfect matches. And then the same thing with the lip glosses. They're pretty much perfect matches. We have Ribbon again. And I think their glosses are really beautiful. That one's a little less red. A little less blue red and more just red. And then Dragon again. So these would be perfect matches for the liners. They should be. That's a really pretty color too. So you're getting something that's a little bit more orangey red and something that's a little more blue base red, and then a couple of kind of neutrals that would work in the middle. So really beautiful. You add this with the two highlighters, which I think look really nice, and the mascara. And if that set comes back into stock, I grab it because you're essentially getting 2 or 3 of the products free when you buy the whole set. That's why I got it, because I didn't need another mascara, and I maybe wouldn't have got the darkest color highlighter, but once I added up the products I did want, it was cheaper to just buy the set, and you got the collector's box too. I'm not a huge Marilyn Monroe person. I like her, but I don't know a ton about her, so that's why I'm not that upset about the box being slightly damaged. Plus, I'd be the only one who would ever notice that. So, let's try some of these on. Okay, that liquid lip and these liners are not moving. So, I can scrub and scrub and scrub. So that's really good for longevity. And I have always found with Lisa Eldridge products that her products perform incredibly well. So let's try this again. Okay, a different brand. The Neutrogena wipe works a little better, it seems, than the other brand. So, do we want to go with the purples or the oranges first? Purples, the red blues, or the orange reds? Let's try the blue reds first. So I'm going to grab ribbon and just do a quick line. Ooh, those feel so nice. But they're not bleeding, which is my concern always with a red this bold. I have to go on a trip tomorrow, so I have not had time to shave. And those of you who follow my page know that over this past weekend we had the funerals for my parents. So that took a lot more out of me than I think I expected. That looks really nice. Let's go ahead and try the, let's try the Amagana set, I think is what it's called. Amagan set. Rouge Experience lip with this liner. That's a nice match. I mean, that is bold. So I think even if you didn't want to use these on the eyes, I would go ahead and keep a really minimal eye look. But look how pretty they are, and they're not transferring like to my teeth or anything. And the thing about the Rouge Experience is they're so comfortable. They're really beautiful and a really good value when you're looking at the higher priced refillable lipstick market. Now, if I want to kick this up, I can grab the gloss in the shade Ribbon and just put a little of it on. And that, of course, is going to add a lot of shine. But these, with just the liner, would be really beautiful. In fact, we may try that. But that does add some shine and depth. That is not for the faint of heart, that color. But it's beautiful. Like normally, sometimes these kind of red colors can look really stark. This reminds me a little bit of Elson from Pat McGrath. Just really, really beautiful. Okay, I'm going to take this off, which will not be attractive, and then we'll come back and we will take a look at some of the more orangey colors and the liquid velvet lip. Okay, I said that wasn't going to be that difficult, or that it was going to be difficult, or it wouldn't look good, but that actually came off like that. That was so quick. I forget the quality of Lisa Eldridge lip products. Well, all products really, but her lip products are fantastic. I'm really digging that highlighter, by the way. It's giving you that glow from within look. For those of you who are always trying to get the Chanel Rêve de Camellia, obviously this is different because it's a gel. It does set down pretty nicely though. It's got a little tack, but not a ton. This could be an alternative for those who couldn't get a hold of that one. Because the thing that's so nice about the Rêve de Camellia, the OG 2021 or whatever it was, the smaller one, is it doesn't have a base. And these don't. Well, this one in particular doesn't. This one has a little bit more of a base, but obviously it wouldn't have that on a darker skin tone. Let's go ahead and look at and see if there's any creasing. There's really not. And I've used some of these gel products before, and they're a mess within seconds. And this still looks pretty good. That's interesting. I wonder if they're just formulated differently. Huh. Okay, let's go into the dragon set, shall we? So I'm going to grab the dragon liner and line. And I know I don't have anything this orange in my collection. And this collection is all about highlighting bold, bright lips and highlighters and keeping everything else really subtle. Let's see what this looks like with just the lip gloss first, and then we can come back and try it with that lipstick. Okay, I like that. So what that tells me is if you do not want to commit to the full Rouge Experience lipstick, which they are very comfortable, but you just want something that's a little bit more toned down, you can just do the gloss and maybe the liner. That looks really nice, and I can still see some of my lip underneath it, so it's not so intense. Okay, let's take that off. See if this comes off just as quick as the other one. That's crazy. Now I left some of the liner on, but I'll go ahead and actually, let's, while we're here, yeah, these blend really nicely. But I will say from the back of my hand, once they set, so move pretty quick. Okay, now let's try the Rouge Experience in Norma Jean. And that's so easy with these. You can just snap them in. And unlike a lot of refillable lipsticks, these never feel like they're rattling in the case. These have been designed really beautiful. And it looks like Mr. Peanut when you have it. So that's also an added plus. So this is Norma Jean. That is interesting. That is a color that I would never try, but I really like it. It's not too orange on. I really like that. And these by themselves, they're kind of a satin. They're really comfortable. They're not super high shiny. But again, if you want more shine, you obviously can add the corresponding gloss. I really like that color. And that is a color I never would have purchased. So I'm glad I got the set. Okay. I don't know why I did that. I'm going to take this off, and then we'll look at the last color of the liner and the scary looking velvet lipstick. I'll be right back. I'm really impressed with how these highlighters and the blush, and even as the eyeshadow, how it's working. It's all blending together. It looks really nice. I shouldn't expect different from Lisa Eldridge. Most every Lisa Eldridge product I've ever tried, I've really liked. The only one is her traditional foundation. It's a little matte for me, but like her skin tint's really good. So sometimes if I want the best of both, I'll mix them together. But otherwise, her eyeshadows, I mean, everything from her that I've ever had, I've just really loved. I like Lisa Eldridge a great deal, the brand. Okay, just a little hard to get in the US. The last liner is Enchantment, and this is the one that's sort of like if Dragon and Ribbon had a love child. It's like a muted strawberry kind of color. So let's go ahead and try this on. My lips are going to be burning. This is probably the most wearable of the colors, because although it's bold, it's a little muted. Okay. That's probably my favorite color of the three as far as something I would wear every day. It's really nice. Okay, let's grab the Strawberry Blonde Velveteen Liquid Lip Color, a formula I've never tried from Lisa Eldridge, but if anyone can make it work, I'm going to say it's Lisa Eldridge. I have not had a liquid velvet like matte lip color since like the early days of Fenty, so I'm a little scared of these. But let's see. Okay, that is one swipe color. Applicator small enough to where you can do a little bit more, you know, detailed work in the corners. And that is one, you know, time in there. I have not had to go back in. I bet there's more product on here than I will need. And I scraped the side of this. Okay. It's bold, but it is a little bit more muted compared to the other one, which is crazy to say because it does look a little bold. There was a tiny little drop on my teeth, but nothing bad. It feels comfortable. My lips are not like sticking together. This would be really good if you wanted to get, if you didn't want to use a liner and you wanted to kind of just place it on with your finger to get that diffused look that's so popular right now. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit drier than like the satins, but I will say it looks very smoothing, and this might be the most comfortable one I've tried, because when I've tried these in the past, within seconds my lips just dry up. This is really nice. And you know, you could use the accompanying gloss or one of the two glosses if you wanted to cool it down or warm it up. I think that looks really nice. It looks like a matte lipstick, but of course it's a liquid version. Okay, I would say most products in here are 10 out of 10. That's just how it is with Lisa Eldridge. Really like the products. Again, it's eye and lip focused, but that's, well, what Marilyn was. If you look inside, everything in here is eyes and lips, and beautiful photography. So I think this is a winning collection. Again, you can buy them individually or as a set, although the set is currently sold out. I think it will come back. Again, Lisa Eldridge, this is a winner. I do kind of wonder why she didn't come out with a really basic, kind of sparkly, neutral palette to go with it. I think that would be interesting, something that would give you this illusion, but in eyeshadow form. But these still have yet to crease and nothing is sticking together. So I don't know what kind of magic is in that, but I'm going to call this one a big fat winner. So if you like this kind of content and you're a Marilyn fan, or you're not a Marilyn fan, you're a Lisa Eldridge fan, then please consider liking, subscribing, following along, shopping my links, and all that jazz, and letting people know about the channel who might be interested in this kind of content. These are winners, as you would come to expect from Lisa Eldridge. So I'll see you all soon. Appreciate you being here. Bye.